folklore, medieval-like power struggles, magic, intrigue, and yes, dragons. Tonight, Past Access Did You Know puts you back into the world of George R.R. Martin's realm of the Game of Thrones as we nerd out at the Game of Thrones studio tour in Banbridge, Northern Ireland, next on DYK. Tucked away in the rural fields south of Belfast is the Linen Mill studio facility, where much of the filming was completed in concert with the Titanic studio lot in Belfast Harbour. The Linen Mill Studios is the crown jewel of GOT exhibits, yet if you were in the region, you may want to drive to some of the more amazing points of interest representing the 7 kingdoms of the Game of Thrones, such as Castle Ward, better known as Winterfell, Tollymore Forest, the haunted forest encounter with the White Walkers, or Downhill Strand, the beaches of Dragonstone, just to name a few. Yet it is here in Banbridge that DYK will bring you back to the mystical world of the Game of Thrones. The set pieces are here, the original costumes, the weaponry, hands-on exhibits, and all the behind-the-scenes methods used by artists, designers, and digital engineers that brought to life this saga of the prophetic song of ice and fire.
And behind me, is one of the giants here from the Game of Thrones. And when you come into this place, you're going to be in a wow factor of about 10 or 11 because it is spectacular about how they introduce the show and what they do with the show, from the set designs to the artwork that goes on to getting the actors ready on these great locations here in Northern Ireland. And really the magic that was made for all the Game of Thrones from George R.R. Martin's books. His sagas that really came true in real life, and you can see it here with these set designs and these costumes. It's actually quite amazing. So we're going to take a look through this tour, and we're glad you're along with us here on Past Access DYK.
We can't show you the main entrance into the tour. We want you to have that wow factor when you see it for yourself. But once you are inside, the dry ice doubles as a terrifying harbinger of what is to come: the White Walkers. Standing in their frightening splendor, you see the artistry up close that brings the dead to life. The wildlings, or free folk if you will, along with giants like One, let you know that this is not a slap-together exhibit on the cheap. These exhibits are the real deal. Before we visit the Wall and the Night's Watch and the sets of Winterfell, let's step aside for a moment. But upon our return, we provide a basic overview of the Game of Thrones for the few of you that might have missed the original run on HBO. So stay tuned. On the next Past Access. To many, Stockholm is considered the de facto capital of Scandinavia. Like many cities in Europe, Stockholm is saturated with interesting history, great disasters, and past royal ambitions of yearning for power. Stockholm is also a city of tomorrow, by way of her social policies or her yearly presentations to Nobel Peace Prize recipients from around the globe. Past Access will guide you through the royal castle and armory, discover the sinking and restoration of the 15th century flagship Vasa, tour a museum to pop royalty that is ABBA, and much, much more. Come along with us to Sweden and discover the best of Stockholm on the next Past Access. From 2011 until 2019, HBO's Game of Thrones was appointment television. 73 episodes guided viewers through the titillating world of magic and mysteries, and interpersonal struggles, family honor dramas, and power grabs reminiscent of actual European medieval history. Throw in some dragons, zombies, and adult content, and you got yourself a hit. HBO would spare no expense flying talent and camera crews to far-flung locations around the world, like Morocco, Iceland, Croatia, Spain, and of course Scotland and Ireland, just to name a few. HBO showrunners David Benioff and D.B. Weiss had the unenviable task to take George R.R. Martin's incomplete magnum opus from Martin's celebrated pages to the small screen. Casting the correct talent, employing hundreds upon hundreds of support staff above and below the line, and budgeting for the highest quality of special effects may have seemed like a stretch. Nonetheless, lightning was captured in a bottle, and the HBO program broke viewing records around the world. The average weekly viewership of Game of Thrones during Season 8 was 44 million viewers, and that's not counting all the illegal download records. Don't look away, you know who you are. Game of Thrones raised the bar on all fantasy genre productions. It arrived with critical acclaim, and even though some felt the last few seasons were a bit uneven, GOT remains one of television's greatest hits. No matter where you fall on the side of loving the ending or absolutely hating the conclusion, Game of Thrones was epic television. The story of the RMS Titanic has captivated generations of people all around the globe. This disaster still resonates with countless individuals even more than a century later. Past Access and Podcasting Productions are proud to present the Titanic Logbook, a perfect companion on your next trip to learn more about all things Titanic. From the Titanic Museum in Belfast, Northern Ireland, to the Titanic Experience in Las Vegas, Nevada, this little logbook allows you to jot down information on the various authentic artifacts recovered from the depths of the Atlantic, document the biographical sketches of the passengers and crew, and rate your overall experience as an amateur historian and Titanic enthusiast. Grab your copy today as you plan your next trip, and remember, you can find the Titanic Logbook at Amazon.com and on the Amazon Marketplace worldwide. The Game of Thrones studio experience is very thorough. From the moment you enter, you are taken through different stages of the story, from region to region, of Westeros and Essos. You will see the set pieces of the Knights of the Watch and the costumes of the crows that guard the wall. One of the highlights is the attention to detail of the Castle Winterfell. The actual set used for the Great Hall of Winterfell is basically in ready-to-film state from the Season 8 scene set up. Flanked by appropriately costumed mannequins, this hall deserves full detailed attention by visitors. The Winterfell crypt is especially eye-catching, with carvings of the Stark family ancestors mentioned in the books and in the show. Scattered throughout the multi-room exhibits are interactive stations to test your knowledge or skill set with a bow and arrow, defending the realm against the White Walkers. The world building of GOT is on full display with interactive terminals that allow you to pick your family shield, family colors, and sigil for all to see. My favorite was the weapons display showcasing the Dragon Killer Scorpion. Yet all the hallmark weapons are here in beautiful displays. Widow's Wail, the Ice Dagger, Oathkeeper, and Longclaw, just to name a few. You think that the tour may end at some point, but it just keeps going and going. Familiar displays around every corner. You may just hear about the clay table at Dragonstone and how it was created to look layered and weathered to match the script and the camera shot charts, or the number of hours it took to produce the giant and not-so-giant dragon skulls. Lifelike reproductions of the HBO series actors are also on display, as they would have been seen in the show, doubling for corpses. Well, that's a great segue to probably the creepier exhibit of this entire tour, the Hall of Faces in the House of the Black and White. Remember those scenes? All you need to do is look into the camera and your face is portrayed on the hall with all the other disembodied heads that we assume will be used at the discretion of the faceless men. Towards the end of the tour, you venture into the Red Keep, home of the Baratheons, or the Lannisters, or, well, watch the show and you can piece together that for yourself.
Okay, do you remember this scene? All right, here at King's Landing with Cersei talking to Jaime on a giant floor map of Westeros. Well, you know, this is some neat things you get to see here that kind of trigger your memory. If you haven't seen Game of Thrones in a while, you want to go back and rewatch it. Coming through this tour really kind of sets things in proper perspective of how they shot things, what they did, and how they kind of made the story work together on a visual aspect. Not only visual, but also the music and the set designs, the set pieces. Really, behind-the-scenes tour is surprisingly amazing in my mind to see this, and I'm really kind of glad I made the trip down from Belfast.
And what better way to complete your tour than to venture inside the semi-destroyed Iron Throne Room? The vaulted ceilings are burned away, as the mighty Drogon flies angrily outside the tattered walls. It is exactly the climactic backdrop you remember from the show between Dany and Jon Snow, brought to life right before your eyes. The Game of Thrones studio tour is an A+ all around. I had a great time. And the gift shop is not too shabby either, where you can pick up a house souvenir or maybe a picture with a White Walker.
Well, that'll do it here from the Game of Thrones studio tour just south of Belfast. We hope you enjoyed the show here on Past Access DYK. For more information on Past Access DYK, go to pastaccess.com, or you can take a look at our Past Access YouTube channel. So until next time from Belfast, I'm Pete Coleman. Take care.
This has been Past Access Did You Know with Pete Coleman. For more information on this topic or other DYK shows, please visit us at pastaccess.com. Be sure to visit our Past Access YouTube channel, like and subscribe.